Three categories of watershed indicators, ecological, stressor, and social, form the basis for recovery potential screening. Each category contributes uniquely to the comparative analysis process in RPS. This video describes the stressor indicators category, the type of metrics it contains, and some recommendations for use. The main role played in RPS by the stressor category is to characterize traits that might degrade watershed condition. The category's indicators are mostly potential sources of stressors, but may also include stressors themselves where measurable. Stressor indicators also include a wide array of metrics derived from state-reported impaired waters, including the pollutant causes and counts, extent of waters affected, and special metrics on several of the most commonly reported impairment types. As such, the stressor category offers a comprehensive list of many factors potentially associated with degrading watershed health. But something else also distinguishes the role of the stressor category in RPS. Of the three indicator categories, the stressor category is much more exploratory and iterative than the other two. After initial indicator choices for a screening, the ecological and social categories are usually static, but the stressor category is where the RPS user typically explores the possibilities by varying indicator choices and weighting among several different options to see what each one may reveal in a series of screening iterations. Measuring the same stressor indicators in different zones adds variety to the condition-related comparisons one can make. RPS metric names include the letters WS when an attribute is measured for the whole HUC or watershed. Some measurements of water bodies are compiled as area and linear totals per HUC. Indicators with RZ in the name are measurements of a HUC's 100-meter buffered riparian zone around its surface waters. And HCZ identifies indicators measured exclusively in the hydrologically connected zone, which is based on a topographic wetness index and contiguity with surface waters. About 140 stressor indicators are included in the standard RPS Tools indicators, and many others are often added by RPS users with their own data. The 6 general subcategories on the left and the examples of each on the right demonstrate the common traits addressed and the indicator variety that exists. When selecting stressor indicators for a screening run, it's best to try and represent many different subcategories rather than select several indicators that only address one. Overrepresenting one subcategory may miss other important attributes affecting stressor impacts on watershed condition. For more information about stressor indicators, the RPS website contains indicator reference materials including subcategories, indicator summaries, each including why relevant and how measured, and reference sheets for some indicators, including literature excerpts that attest to their effects on watershed condition. The stressor category's contribution to screening isn't only through the multimetric stressor index. Examining variation in the scores of single indicators can reveal how the HUCs in your screening may differ in ways not evident in index scores alone. For example, you can go to the Results tab after a screening, sort the values large to small for each stressor indicator one at a time, and look at the corresponding changes in rank order of the watershed names. This often reveals that the same watersheds don't always have the highest values for every stressor. Exploring single stressor indicators against the backdrop of a completed screening is especially informative on the Bubble Plot tab. In this example, 109 HUC-12s in Texas's Baffin watershed were screened to identify potentially better areas for reducing agricultural nutrient loads. Each bubble is a HUC-12, and their positions on the plot range from high eco low stressor index scores at upper left to low eco high stressor scores at lower right. Watch how the highest values for 4 single indicators, shown as the darker colors, occur on very different HUCs. Variation in total agriculture correlates well with the overall upper left to lower right, least to most impacted gradient of the screening in general. High manure application values, however, are limited to a few HUC-12s of better than average condition. Cultivated cropland in the riparian zone shows all its highest values in the lower right quadrant. And the highest synthetic nitrogen application rates appear to be strongly associated with the very highest stressor index scores at the far right. Keep in mind that this exploratory technique of color coding by single indicator can be done on the bubble plot with any indicator in the tool, not just those used in the screening. Users should not feel limited to the indicator selection already in the tool. Adding more stressor indicators is encouraged where suitable data exist. Because RPS indicators are limited to metrics that could be calculated nationally, highly relevant additional data are likely available in any given state or locality. Some examples may include more detailed monitoring results or updated state assessments of impaired waters, higher resolution or more recent state land use data, or state-specific records on pollutant discharges, pesticide or fertilizer application rates, or other factors not available as national data. See the RPS module about adding indicator data for more on this topic.